People consume content in different ways. Some like on-demand video where they can pause and come back later, go back 40 seconds to catch a point, or just skip to the chapter they really need. Others love to read. Something about the full engagement with written text deepens the impression. But there are those who want to just listen. They might be out for a jog, grocery shopping with their earpiece in, or on their morning and evening commute in the car. As content creators, we never want to dictate to our audience how they consume our content. So it's best to put it in as many forms as possible and let them decide. We recently launched an audio version of our live show, and today we're going to walk you through the process of taking the live video and making it into a podcast. I'm Kirk Nugent, your live video coach, and on this channel, I show you how to use live streaming to grow and engage an audience, to funnel clients to your business, or establish yourself as a thought leader. And today, we're looking at how to turn your live show into a podcast on a Mac specifically. We're going to take you through the most basic way possible. This process can be done in less than an hour if you have all the components. So in this first section, let's go over all the things you'll need to start that process. First, you'll need the video file itself. Ecamm records directly to your computer, but if you're using a tier 2 platform like StreamYard or Restream, just download the file to your computer so you have it to work with. Second, you'll need an application to pull the audio from the video. There are many options for this, but for the purpose of this guide, we'll use Quicktime, which is a built-in application on all Mac computers. Third, we'll use Audacity, a free open source cross-platform audio software. I'll place a link in the description where you can download it. You'll see on the download page that it is compatible with Windows as well. Be sure to download the appropriate version for your system. You'll also need the optional FFmpeg library, which allows Audacity to import and export a much larger range of audio formats. The link I'm providing goes directly to the Mac download. The fourth and final thing I want to mention is really optional, and that is a podcast intro and outro. I worked with a local voice artist to create something specifically for my podcast. If you intend to go this route, you'll need to provide your voice artist a few things. Here's a quick list. First, the script. Full text of what you want them to record, and be sure to proofread it because you don't want any typos. Second, the energy/vibe. You want to be specific on how they deliver the script, what music and effects you're looking for in the finished product. Third, clarity on hard to pronounce words that you may associate with your brand. And that's it. Man, that's a lot. Now that we have your video directly saved on your Mac hard drive and Audacity installed with the FFmpeg library, we can finally dive in. So here we are on my desktop, and I have my show already open in Finder. It's right here on the screen, and you'll see that it's called a Restream file .mov. All I've simply done is open this with QuickTime. Right click on it, open with, and I go right here to QuickTime. You can see that right there. QuickTime is the default player it's going to open with anyway, but I'm going to open it with QuickTime, and that's what opens this screen up right here. So this screen is where we want to be. The next thing I'm going to navigate to in my folder is the two intro and outro files that my voice artist recorded. So these are already highlighted here in the system. I'm going to pull these in to Audacity. I'm just going to drag them in their MP3 files. I'm going to drag them into Audacity, and you can see that they're there now. So now I have both of those files in. I'm going to actually grab my headphones for this part because I need to hear what this sounds like as well. All right. So next thing I want to do is export the video file, the actual show that I'm going to make into a podcast, which is right here in QuickTime. In order to do that, we want to go up to the menu at the top, go to File, and go to Export As. You can see Export As here. We highlight that a little bit, and you can see the different options. The one we want, however, is where it says audio only. We want the audio only one. So click on that, and it's going to give us some options. I'm going to call this branding because that was the show we did this past Monday. And we're going to say save to actually going to put that on the desktop. Save to the desktop. So we say save that to the desktop, we say save, and it's going to take some time, but you can see that process is exporting now. While that's exporting, I'm going to move some things around here on my two files. So my intro and outro. So you can actually just grab the file itself. When you get up to the top, you get that hand. You can see the hand there. And that hand allows you to drag the placement of the file to where you need it to be. So this file, I believe, let's listen to
businesses. You're listening to How It All Works.
Okay, so that file is the first one. This file is the last one. What I should say is intro and outro. So this is the outro. So that's the file I want to slide down. This is the file that we want to start with. So let's make sure here at the bottom, we're all the way at the top of the audio file. This entire thing is a file. So I'm dragging that to the line there, and I'm just dragging this down some so we have some space. Drag this down even more. And where you place it on the timeline, if you will, is where it will be in the overall show. One of the things that I've recognized is that in order to match up the sound on these, I'm going to need to adjust the audio level. Now that we've extracted this file, extracted the audio from the video file, I want to go over to my desktop and find that file. There it is, and just drag it into Audacity. It's going to take a few seconds to import that file in, but once it's done, we have an entire file, and you can see that it has made the size of the intro and the outro smaller. So all we really need to do now is increase the zoom on this so that we can kind of see a little better what those intro and outros look like. And now that I have that, I have the hand again. And again, I need to slide the outro down to the end of this file. Now, we don't want to slide it all the way down yet because we're going to make some cuts in the file itself. And for the most part, we should be good to go. Now, for my show, I have a considerably long countdown clock, which I'm definitely not going to keep in the finished product. And you can kind of see where that countdown clock finishes somewhere around this section here. So let's go to that section. Time and money. In our family budget, that's still a little promo video that was probably playing at the beginning of the show. So I'm going to slide down even further. And I think about right here, let's try here. What is this? Did you write a book? I'm like, there's an ebook. We tell you how many times I'll put. Here we go. So this is my announcements section. I always start my show with announcements. So I'm actually not looking for that. This is probably the intro. You can see that just the way that it looks in the waveform. So yeah, that's the intro. So right after the intro is where I want to start my podcast. And I do that on purpose. So let's make sure that this is it. Yeah, it's about right there, but I need to pull it over just a little bit. So we're going to increase the zoom a little bit more and just click away and click back on that guy right there. Yes, 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 yes. All right. So now that that's there, we can take this whole section from the beginning and just delete it. And once we have that deleted, we have the section of the show that we want to start the podcast. And so I delete the first part of the show and the last part of the show, and I put on my intro and outro, and that's essentially it. So we're almost done. So next thing we want to do is, again, increase our zoom a little bit here, because we do need to get this lined up with the intro, right? So the intro starts about right there. So we want to end that there. We need to increase the volume on this a little bit. I found it about bringing my volume on the actual podcast itself to about 6 or 7 usually works. So let's go over here. Yeah, see, I want it to come in right at that time.
Your host, live video consultant and coach, Kirk Nugent. Your host, live video.
So I needed to come in a little bit earlier, my audio that is, and let's see if we can't get this if this is about right. Yes. Now. You see, normally I would come in with some applause. Normally I would come in and say, hey, let's give a warm welcome to our guest. But this month, so now if we start, let's just start the track here. Let's start it right at the beginning.
You're listening to How It All Works, Convos and Collabs. Helping businesses, brands, and thought leaders understand the positive impact of live streaming. And now, here's your host, live video consultant and coach, Kirk Nugent.
Yes. All right. Now. You see, normally I would come in with some applause. Normally I would come in and say, hey, let's give a warm welcome to our guest. But this month, we are doing a solo series. So that's how it'll start. Now I just need to grab the end part and we're almost done. So now I don't want to scroll past my outro because I need to take that with me to the end, right? So now I've moved the outro toward the end of the show. And I need to kind of start listening here to see where I want to cut the show, focused on providing it. And to be clear, it's not for you guys enough for coming and hanging out tonight. It's your boy, Kirk Nugent, the Geek Speaker Preacher, there. Hoping that somewhere in the course of our video today, somewhere in the course of our live show this week, talking about defining your brand, that you were able to figure out how it all works. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and we'll see you next week or some other time in another video. Yeah, right about there. Take care, fam. So I want to move it just a little bit more. I'm gonna have to increase the zoom a little bit in order to get that right. Let's see. So somewhere. It's down somewhere about right here. Take care, fam. Nope, it's after that. So right there. Perfect. So from this line, I just grab the end and delete that part. Now it's just a matter of lining up the outro to match our end piece. So something about right there should work. So now let's listen to that time in another video. Take care, fam.
The How It All Works podcast.
And that's it. So we have the intro and the outro lined up. We have the actual show itself, the show content, pretty much everything in the show itself I'm leaving as it is. But if you have other pieces of the show that you want to cut out, then you'll want to listen to the entire thing and cut those pieces out and make sure that everything flows together. You'll really want to listen to it. But what I want to show you right now is the export process. Now that I have it all done, I want to come up here to File and say Export. And I'm going to export it as an MP3. That's the file format that my podcast platform, which is Kajabi, uses or it accepts. And that is export as MP3. And so you can see some of the other file formats that are here, but I'm going to export as a MP3. A lot of people will tell you need to go through and do some stuff on all these pieces here. I don't necessarily do that. So what we're going to do is call this branding Jan 10, and we will save this again to my desktop, and we will say save. Tracks will be mixed down. I leave this alone because the podcast platform takes care of all these things, but you can enter these values if you want to. Name, track, album title, all that stuff. And you say okay, and then that is going to export. You see that taking its time there. And when it's finished exporting, I'll have an MP3 file that I can take and upload to Kajabi. So let's go and take a look at Kajabi right now. So here we are in Kajabi, and I'm on the products page right over here. You got products, and you got podcasts here under your products. And so under podcasts, I've gone into How It All Works podcast, and I've got all my other episodes here that are published. So now I can simply click on new episode, give it a title, click on upload, so choose file, and I'm going to go to the desktop where we save that file. You can see that it's here, and I'm going to click on open. And that's going to take some time to upload. And it usually doesn't take too much time, but it's going to take some time to upload. But while that's uploading, the other thing that I can do is grab the text for the actual show itself. And so I want to definitely give it a name. So now I've given it a name. I usually just copy these from whatever it was I was doing before. But anyway, defining your brand, How It All Works, live video strategy series. I've got some show notes here. I'll probably edit that a little bit more. This is actually the beginning of season 2. So I've selected that here. And then we just click on add episode. Now that doesn't publish it, but it does add the episode there for me to be able to go in and edit it a little further. I come in here again, edit details. Now I've got a little bit fuller of a screen to work with. I have this other piece that I can edit some things in. I can actually go ahead and choose my thumbnail for the show, which I've already had my designer design. So I can save that in there. And so that's going to make that change there as well. And then I can just come in here to where it says schedule episode. I can set the date that I want this podcast to be published. That brings us to the end of our instruction. Here's a critical tip. The fact that you're planning to repurpose your live show as a podcast should influence the format of your live show. Be sure there isn't anything strictly visual that won't translate to the podcast audience. It may seem like cutting that part out in the edit process would work, but if the conversation flows from a visual aid the podcast audience can't see, you may lose them. Structure your run sheet in a way that allows for minimal edits as you seek to repurpose your content for different formats. Personally, I mention the podcast audience from time to time in the live show so they feel connected. At the end, I briefly showed what I do in Kajabi to manage my podcast distribution. What service are you using to manage your podcast? Let me know in the comments. I know there are many options out there. I use Kajabi because it means I have one less platform to sign into, since Kajabi is my website, my mailing list, my landing pages, and it hosts my courses. Maybe I need to do some videos on Kajabi. Let me know that in the comments as well, too. Be sure to subscribe for more. It's your boy, Kirk Nugent, the Geek Speaker Preacher, hoping that somewhere in the video today, we got you a little closer to figuring out how it all works. And we'll see you in the next video.